Andrew, this is Kurt Harlow. Are you there?
Hey, Kurt, I'm here. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. The question is, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well tonight.
Andrew, we have about 550 teenagers from multiple high schools in the room right now. And I was about to tell them what you were telling me the other day in your hospital room, and I thought instead of me telling your story, I'd let you tell them. Would you just tell them what you told me the other day?
Sure. Yeah, hey guys. Sorry I couldn't be there in person tonight, but I'm glad I get to talk to you. I want you guys, excuse me, I want you guys to take a second and think about your biggest fear. What is going on in your life that is causing you to worry?
A relationship, something at school, maybe something's going on at home.
Now imagine you have a few days to live. How would it change your perspective on that? I can tell you from firsthand experience that it makes you want to serve God and put others first. I want to encourage you guys to consider what you're worrying about. Is it something trivial or is it something eternal?
The good news is you don't have to have total disease to make that choice.
You can make that choice tonight. Thanks, guys. I hope you're having a great night.
Did you hear all that applause for you?
It was really garbled the whole time. There was something going on in the background.
Yeah, it's called 550 kids shuffling in their seats. So.
Wow.
I'm going to let you go. We're going to pray for you right now. Buddy, I just want to let you know for you and everyone in this room, you are my hero. You're an example of Jesus Christ, and the peace you have is proof that he lives. God bless you, brother. We sure love you.
Thank you so much.
Wow. So we're going to move this here. This is Dan and Aaron and their brothers. And Aaron, in the first service you shared this, but I'd like you to break it down. There were some things. This was a terminal case of cancer. The treatment was in itself pretty challenging for Andrew. But Andrew was still able to kind of just do some things. And it all went back to a time way back when he had a calling to do something.
Well, when he was 12 years old, he felt that God called him to be a missionary to Brazil. And around when he was 18 years old and had gone through chemo and had cancer, he realized that with his body and immune system, he could no longer go to any third world countries. And his dream was always to be a missionary to third world countries, but God fulfilled his dream in a way that he wouldn't have even imagined. And that was, he was a missionary to the people in the hospital and his friends from school and his own family.
Wow. Now I want you to catch something, because if you don't catch this, you're just going to sit there and go, okay, what's the context? Andrew, they have a very active family. These boys wrestle. I think there was a moment in time he wrestled even at Lincoln High School. They're good wrestlers. They also did something else. I remember one time we played airsoft, and it was Andrew who, this kid would get in the bushes and hide in the bushes, and they were all laughing at me because my son Michael, who just came back from a camp, gave me a gun that jammed and didn't work. And so I thought I was doing really good, and then they were all pelting me. And you know, I want you to know airsoft bullets hurt. They really, really hurt. But I took it like a man, or like a midwife. I took it like a midwife. But anyways, you know, great kids. These are active kids. And then from some symptoms and everything, he gets diagnosed. And then he's battling this disease, and it gets pretty serious. And some opportunities come, didn't they, Dan? And one of the opportunities was Make-A-Wish Foundation said, hey, you can have $5,000, and you can do anything you want. And what did he do with it?
He gave it away. He gave it to a food bank to help needy people in our community. And then he went on to raise another 15,000 more for the same cause.
Now you're the older brother. As an older brother, looking back at Andrew, and you think about how did his life inspire you?
Oh, in tremendous ways. I'll tell one story just to give you an example of the kind of inspiration he was and continues to be. There was a moment a few days before he passed away where it was just he and I in the hospital room that you saw there on the video. And normally there's a lot of doctors and nurses coming in and out, but it was just he and I, and it was quiet. And I said, Andrew, what are you afraid of? What's your biggest fear right now? And like most of you, you probably expect him to say something about how painful it was, or was going to be, or fear of death and the unknown and what that was going to be like. But instead, Andrew, without hesitation, he answered that he was afraid for the lives of the other kids in the hospital who didn't know Jesus, and he was hopeful that he could share Christ with them before he died and have an opportunity to do that. And so, just his courage and boldness to share Jesus with people, he knew that the same power, God's same power that conquered the invasion of the Midianites in Gideon's day, was the same power that was in his heart, and he wanted to share that with others. The same power that conquered his sin and could conquer the sin and death of others. And he had no fear about sharing that. And I hope that wears off on all of us.
How many people showed up to his memorial service?
A lot, 800 plus. Yeah.
800 plus. It was so amazing. And I had time one day to go into hospitals because I went to go encourage Andrew. What changed was he ended up encouraging me. I went in to try to give him a hope of heaven and eternity. He looks at me and he says, I'm good. He says, I'm ready. And he starts unpacking his heart for people and for Jesus Christ. I said, Andrew, can you pray for me? It was an amazing moment. And so all of that, and there's just so many more lives. There was a young man in the hospital that was terminal, and you got a chance to minister to him. And when you think of Andrew, out of his life, what would be the thing that you could say, I want to take that, and that's what I want to embody?
Probably the type of person that he was someone that was very accepting of other people, and he, no matter what, whenever you came into a group that Andrew was in, he always made you feel accepted, and that he shared God's love with you, no matter what your background was or no matter what your story was. And that's kind of what I try to take away from his life, is no matter what, like, that's who I want to be too. Is I want to be that person that shows God to you no matter what.
How about yourself, Dan?
Well, I think I talked about it a little bit earlier, but probably just his courage and his fearlessness, really. He was bold in sharing the love of Jesus with anybody that he came across.
What was the last words he said before he left?
He was kind of in and out of consciousness and hadn't really talked to any people for a while. But he was lying there in a hospital bed, and it was almost like he was having a conversation with God directly, saying, "Yes, Lord." And then he'd pause, and it was almost like God would say something to him, and then he would say, "Yes, Lord," again, and he would keep saying that. And then he would say, and then at the end he said, "Let's go, let's go."
He was ready. This is a young man who lived in a few years what some people don't even live in a lifetime, because he had an eternal perspective. For Andrew, there could have been a plan B, but for him it was a plan A. He never saw cancer as a plan B. He just saw it as, God has got me on my journey, and I'm going to live my life to its fullest. And he touched something. By the way, I just want to make a comment to both of you. You got preaching, you young man. Both of you are very, very articulate. And it's courageous, and I know that it's been some time. But you know, we don't, even though we talk in the past tense, for believers, he's still alive, and he's cheering us on in his race. So can you thank Dan and Aaron for coming up here and sharing with you? Dan and Aaron, come up here. Come on up here with me, man. You know, if you speak like a preacher, you might as well act like one. I love these guys. Listen, you don't have to have a terminal disease to have passion and need to know you have to have eternity. Because let me tell you the truth. We all have got a terminal disease. The Bible calls it sin. And what sin is, it's just missing the mark. It doesn't mean that God hates us or despises us. He made a way because his plan A was to take the cross, die for us so that we can have eternal life. Andrew knew that. That's the reason why he didn't fear death. And every time I was around Andrew, he wasn't concerned for himself. This wasn't a young man going, oh, woe is me, I'm suffering. Every time you talk about him, you go, you know, there's this person over there that I'm praying for. There's this nurse. There's this doctor. There's this person. He taught me. He was a mentor to me. And he still mentors us with his life. We have a coach being here. I get blessed because I go, coaches that are willing to go after more than just winning and losing. And listen, I like to win. But what good is winning on a field if they can't win at life?